All right, shalom, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, giving our praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachah Quadash. Giving double honors to the elders and apostles, that great millstone who taught me this truth. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect. Peace and salutations to the brethren that came out there on the highways and byways pushing this truth with 100% sincerity. And peace and salutations to the few and sincere sisters out there who also believe in this gospel, right? So, a big topic this past week has been our kingdom, the kingdom of Israel, reigning for more than 1,000 years. You got Bishop Nathaniel Alaga, General Nathaniel Alaga from the IUIC, who went into a breakdown last Saturday and basically stated and said that there is Salakia. He's basically stated and said that the kingdom of Israel, right, after we're delivered, after Yahweh Shai is reigning on the throne, King David is set up, the 144 is set up. After 1,000 years, the heathen are going to come together and start building weapons, and they're going to come against us, And, various brothers have been going in on this topic. And, the honest truth is that's not going to happen. That's not in the scriptures. That's not scripture. There's nowhere in the scriptures where you can find, Salakia, I'm doing a lot of stuff right now, but there's nowhere in the scriptures where you can find where it says that after 1,000 years, the heathen is going to rise back up again, right? The scriptures say that our kingdom shall be a kingdom without end, right? Our kingdom is never going to fall. And he gets this from Revelation chapter 20 and verse 7 and 8, I believe. So we're going to go through that for a little bit, and then we're going to bring out other scriptures that are going to prove that our kingdom is going to stand forever and ever, not just after 1,000 years, right? So this is the book of Revelation, chapter 20, starting at verse 1, and it says, "And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. And he laid on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years." Right? So this is talking about Esau. It's talking about Esau Edom, who was bound for 1,000 years, right? And it says, "And cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more, till 1,000 years should be fulfilled. And after that, he must be loosed a little season." Right? So this is talking about Esau Edom, who was cast into the bottomless pit, which is Europe, right? Europe is that bottomless pit which he was cast into, right? And for 1,000 years, because 1,000 years after the, I believe it was the Eastern Roman Empire, after the Eastern Roman Empire fell, right, or the pagan Roman Empire, Jake or Israelites reigned for 1,000 years for a period which was called the Dark Ages, right? And you can look this up. I'm not going to go into all of that history right now. I don't have a whole lot of time. But Jake reigned for 1,000 years at a period of time which was called the Dark Ages. And they call it the Dark Ages. Well, Esau tries to say that there was nothing going on at that time. But the truth and reality is that Jake, or so-called black men, were ruling for 1,000 years during that period, right? So that's what this is talking about. It's talking about Esau Edom being bound up and put into the bottomless pit. And then for 1,000 years, Jake reigned. Jake reigned on the earth for 1,000 years, right? And not in righteousness. So this was not our kingdom, because Jake didn't reign in righteousness. You had, you had different, what do you call it, Salakia? Jake believed in Christianity, Islam and things like that, right? And that's what they were ruling based on. But nonetheless, it was Israelites ruling Europe at this time, right? So, and it says, after that, he must be loosed a little season. This is that little season, right? That little season started during the Renaissance period. The Renaissance period around, Slovakia, around 1492 is when the Renaissance period began and the Edomites began to come back into power, right? And we're in that little season right now because Esau has been ruling the world ever since, right? And it says, and I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Yahweh Shai, and for the word of Yahweh, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands, and they lived and reigned with Hamashiach 1,000 years, right? So this is a different 1,000-year period. This is a different 1,000-year time, right? And I was just describing this to a brother last week, the way that this scripture is written. John the Revelator is talking about one thing, then he briefly goes in and start talking about something else, and he goes right back to what he was originally talking about. That's how this portion of scriptures is written. Revelation chapter 20, verse 1 through 8. That's how it's written, right? So it says, and they lived and reigned 1,000 years with Hamashiach, right? And this is talking about the kingdom. This is talking about the kingdom, right? That 1,000 years is us going around the world, setting up our kingdom and putting the rest of the heathen in order, right? And it says, but the rest of the dead live not again until the 1,000 years were finished. This is the first resurrection, right? And this is talking about the dead. It's talking about the heathen, the other heathen nations, who for 1,000 years they're going to be under us, learning our ways, learning our rulership, learning the law, statutes, and commandments, right? We're going to rule them with the rod of iron, right? And we're going to, after 1,000 years, they're going to be sent back to their rightful lands, right? It says, blessed and holy is he that hath part in the first resurrection. On such the second death have no power, but they shall be priests of Yahweh and of Hamashiach, and shall reign with him 1,000 years, right? That's a different 1,000-year period than what it was talking about in verse 3, right? And it says, and when 1,000 years expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison, and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea, right? So now we're going back into talking about that first 1,000 years, which is described in verse 3, right? Which is talking about the dark ages, right? Because in no time, and he also said that Gog and Magog is not today. It's going to be after that 1,000 years of rulership in the kingdom, right? But that's false. That is a falsehood, right? That is a false doctrine, because the scriptures say that our kingdom is going to be forever and there shall be no more war during our kingdom. Isaiah chapter 2, you can read that, right? So I'm going to go through a couple of them for. So look, let's go here to Daniel chapter 2, verse 44. It says, and in the days of these kings shall the Most High of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed. And the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. So again, our kingdom is going to stand forever and it's never going to be destroyed. There's no heathen going to come up against us and wage war against us. There's no heathen going to, you know what I'm saying, get out of line, get out of pocket. And after those 1,000 years are up, Esau, Edom is going to be completely eradicated from the earth. So that notion or that doctrine that Gog and Magog is going to be after the 1,000 years in the kingdom and the heathen are going to rise up, man, that's a falsehood. That's false doctrine, man. That's not true. That's not what the scriptures say, because then this scripture would be a contradiction if that was the case. Daniel chapter 7. And verse 18, it says, but the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever, right? Again, stating that the kingdom is never going to be destroyed and no one is going to take it from us. Isaiah chapter 2 and verse 2, and it says, and it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it. And many people shall go and say, come ye and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the Most High of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. And he shall judge among the nations and shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. Nobody is going to come against us in the kingdom. Nobody is going to rise up against Israel once our kingdom is established. It's going to be impossible for them. Here it is. You know what I'm saying? After World War III and Babylon the Great is destroyed, we go through the earth, taking down all of their weapons, taking down all of their armies and militaries, right? And then under our rulership, they're going to figure out somehow a way to start building weapons, and they're going to start plotting and planning to come up against us once more, to take us down. It's just not going to happen. It's just not true. It's not going to happen. Right? And we know that it's not going to happen because of what the scripture says. We're going through right now. Right? This book of Psalm, chapter 145, verse 11, it says, they shall speak of the glory of thy kingdom and talk of thy power, and make known the sons of men his mighty acts and the glorious majesty of his kingdom. Thy kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and thy dominion endureth throughout all generations. So once the Lord's kingdom, once Yahweh's kingdom is set out, it is going to endure throughout all generations. It's never going to be taken down. It's going to be a kingdom that is going to be established forever and ever and ever. Forever. It's never going to be taken down. I think I got another scripture. It's the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 5 and verse 23. And it says, and said, O Lord, that bearest rule of every wood and of the earth, and of all the trees thereof, thou hast chosen the one only vine. Oh, okay, so like here. Thou hast chosen thee one only vine, and of all the lands of the whole world, thou hast chosen thee one pit, and of all the flowers thereof one lily, right? And I was just going to use this to break down that the bottomless pit in Revelation chapter 20 and verse 3 is talking about a land and not an actual pit of hellfire or nothing like that, right? It's actually talking about a land, right? Based on this precept here, right? Right, so I didn't have much time to go in depth into this, but, you know, Lord willing, this was edifying and straight to the point. Giving our praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Rahakwadash, Shalom.